hello! David Snowpick here from Snowpick Games. Welcome to the stream. I see we've got Micah in the comments. Your characters disappeared already, so I cannot comment on what they look like. What do I got? I got a dude with a tall shield, looking all right. Oh, I see Micah commented, "How long till the character appears?" Come on. Hey, there we go. Haha! Looks like you got a ponytail and a shield and some sort of bluish pink clothes going. How is everyone doing? This has been a crazy week on so many different levels. But yeah, welcome. Let me know who else is here. Otherwise, I have no idea. I just have like this little eyeball icon with a number next to it. Hey, Ricardo, welcome to the stream. So what happened this week? Well, there was MetaConnect, and the Quest 3 was announced. Yay! So I'm excited about that. My Quest 3 shall be arriving in 11 days, I think, something like that. Also, you know, since we talked last, there was more Unity drama and a sort of resolution to that drama, which is also very interesting. This week was the last week before the Godot 4.2 feature freeze, which I was very busy trying to get some GD extension things squared away for that. Also, there has been an explosion of like C# GD extension discussion and things going on, which is also just crazy. I mean, it's great. Like, I think always we were hoping one day that there would be a C# language binding for GD extension. But now it's kind of like taken the forefront, and Juan's talking about it all the time, both publicly on the proposal and on some back channels. I've been talking with the .NET folks and things. But man, what a crazy week. What a crazy week. Hey, Gas Junkie, welcome to the stream. Oh, Gas Junkie's rocking, well, my beard usually. I trimmed it. What do you guys think? It's shorter now. It'll be longer again. It always is. And what did Ricardo get? Ricardo's just got like a dude in some like work clothes. You're kind of stuck too. Let me see if I can unstuck you. How have things been going by you guys? Is anyone else excited about the Quest 3 and or getting one and or cares about VR at all, because we're doing VR today? And how are your guys' projects going and all of those things? I can't remember what everyone's working on anymore at this point. I know, Ricardo, you're working on Julia and like occasional physics stuff. I don't know what everyone else is doing. What are you guys up to? I've just been working on GD extension, honestly. I really badly need a break from it. But there was some good news on that front, actually. Basically, everything we wanted to get merged for 4.2 got merged, including the hot reload PR that we worked on stream on like 6 different streams. We were working on the hot reload PR for GD extension, merged. Every other PR that modified the GD extension interface merged. It's looking good for Godot 4.2. I mean, there's always more. There's always more things that we could get in or whatever. Actually, maybe the better place to look. You know, ooh, I probably shouldn't show this into whole thing on stream. That's not a good idea. Let's just try to get to the roadmap here. I have been deleting things from the roadmap when they are completed. What I should have done is I should have like copied them into a completed column so we could just watch this completed, or not column, I guess section, this completed section just fill up with loads and loads of awesome completed things. But yeah, there's like really nothing Godot side left on the roadmap that needs to get done. There's a bunch of Godot CPP things, but that's fine because Godot CPP isn't really affected by the Godot feature freeze. So over the next 4 weeks, I will be working on just really a small number of Godot CPP things that need to get done. And there's like a bug fix that a contributor named Mai is working on that I hope gets in there. But like, yeah, Godot 4.2 is going to be amazing for GD extension. It's going to be great. Gas Junkie, I'm super impressed by the new software features Meta showed off. Inside out, upper body tracking, and generative legs. Yeah, that stuff looks cool. They're finally tracking elbows. They finally got the elbow tracking in. That's really cool. There's so much. I mean, I guess in a lot of ways, this Meta Connect showed fewer things than I think previous Meta Connects have, and they kind of just repeated those things over and over again. I actually, there's a couple presentations I still haven't watched from Meta Connect, but I've watched pretty much all of the presentations that I was interested in, including like the little lightning talks and all that stuff. But like the stuff that was announced was like some pretty key stuff. And like I've not ever been interested in the smart glasses. Like I've always thought that was kind of dumb. But what they're showing with the smart glasses actually seems kind of interesting now. I guess they have some sort of HUD, or at least that was the impression I got from the demos, where they can show some text and stuff, and they're talking about you can look at a sign and have it like write out the translated text for you if it's in a language you don't speak, and it can hear things. It could conceivably like hear someone speaking in another language and provide subtitles. That would be really, really cool. So I don't know. Things are moving forward. Life is good. Ricardo says, congrats with the merges. Thanks, Ricardo. Stefan Probst. Will there be a recording of what? Of this stream? Yes, this stream will be recorded. Micah says, been seeing a lot of amazing stuff getting done for Godot over the last few weeks. Orlac says, howdy, Orlac. Ooh, we got a lot of characters rocking out up here. Oh, Stefan has like... You with that orc with the braid and the spear, you are definitely looking badass. Oh, and Orlac's got an elder statesman of the orcs. Or no, that's Carlo. Where's Orlac? Is Orlac on here, or did I just miss? Is Orlac Carlo? Is Carlo Orlac? I'm not sure. It's a mystery. So. What are we working on today? We are going back to a VR prototype that we did work on stream back in March, I think, where the idea was, the long-term idea was making something kind of like Bridge Crew, but Bridge Crew was discontinued, no longer exists. I thought it'd be kind of cool to make like a spiritual successor to Bridge Crew. Of course, we didn't get terribly far on it. Where we left it is some controls to fly this spaceship, and by spaceship I mean a flat cube through space. You're flying this cube and going through some rings, like Pilot Wing style, just to get kind of like an idea for flight controls. And to be honest, I don't know how they turned out. Like they work, the flight controls work, and the general sort of thought that I had was, what if we made a control system that wasn't, pressing things on a panel, because that's how control systems are in the real world. What if we made something that was more like interacting with a hologram that you would manipulate? And the original idea that I had was to move in 3D space. You would like rotate this sphere as the way to steer, and that kind of totally didn't work. I mean, we got it technically working. Like we made it so that you could rotate a sphere and it would control the ship, but it sucked. It didn't feel good. So then ended up on a thing, which I guess I'll show in a moment, where you have kind of like a circle and you're moving around this capsule shape inside of the circle and then rotating it to sort of, roll your ship. And it feels good, I guess I should say, whereas the sphere thing just did not feel good. But I don't know if it makes sense, like, for the game. So that might need to be iterated on a bunch, but we're not going to work on the movement today. To try and move closer to this idea of implementing Bridge Crew, which I guess if people don't know that game, it's like in the Star Trek IP, and the idea is you have 4 people on the bridge of a Star Trek style starship. You have a captain, you have a helm person, a weapons person, and an engineering person, and you each have control over different aspects of the ship at your different stations, and you have to like collaborate to do Star Trek missions. It was really fun. I really liked that game. It was awesome, but it was discontinued, as all multiplayer games are eventually, right? There was a single player mode though. I wonder if I went into it and played the single player mode if it would still work. The single player mode sucked though, right? Because you have to jump between like each of the stations. Like, okay, I'm gonna jump over here and do the helm. Okay, I'm gonna jump over here. I'm gonna shoot some things. It defeated the whole kind of like spirit of that game. But I want to add shooting. So what I'm thinking, and like kind of long term sort of idea, is something Bridge Crew esque, but not the Star Trek IP, and focused primarily on combat. In Bridge Crew, there are like some interesting missions where you like go to a place and you scan a thing, and then some story events happen, and then you go to another place and like you have to beam some people off of a ship before like it explodes or something. But I'm thinking if we just focus on one aspect of that, like that could be a conceivable thing that I, as like a random dude doing this in my spare time, could do. So just sort of like team space battle dogfights. So anyway, we're gonna have the one station where you can fly the ship, and then make another station where you can shoot. And you guys have to tell me what you think about this idea. But again, I want to get away from the idea that you're at a desk turning knobs to control the thing and go into something that's more like physical and visceral. Because this is VR, right? I don't particularly like operating knobs in VR. It's not the best experience. So what I was thinking was something where you are actually pointing like you are shooting a gun, kind of, at a spot, and then the spaceship's guns like pivot to point at that spot. I'm thinking you'll have two, kind of sort of towards the front of the ship, and using that to aim. And to gamify it, I would imagine that you wouldn't be able to point in any direction. There would have to be sort of like a range within which these guns can articulate, and you'd need some sort of like, I don't know, targeting thing, and like maybe the guns wouldn't immediately adjust. Like when you move to a spot, it would take them some time to kind of pivot there, to make sure that it still feels like you're shooting weapons from a ship instead of firing a gun from your hand. But I don't know. That was the idea I had. I don't know if anyone else has any interesting design ideas for a more visceral way to control a weapon system. In Bridge Crew, the way that it worked was, at least as far as I'm remembering, it's been a while since I played it, but you like pick a target. You have like this little map, this little flat map on your desk, and you pick a target, and then you just hit a button that says like fire phasers and another button that says fire photon torpedoes. And depending on if the front of your ship is lined up enough with the target, will basically determine whether you can hit it or not. So then the gameplay goes where the pilot is trying to make sure that whoever the captain has decided we're trying to target right now is in front of the ship, and then the weapons person has them selected and is just going phasers, phasers, phasers. So I don't know. I'm trying to think of something more visceral and interesting and exciting than that. So I don't know. What do you guys think of the gun shooty idea? And I will wait for the 20-second pause. No, please let me know in the comments what you think. I'm totally undecided about this, but let's get to work here. I guess first off, I should show you guys what we got. Oh, and to do that, I need to go to a browser. So Oculus Cast, I think that's what it is. Yep. Let's log in. I should have gotten this set up before the stream, I'm sorry, but I did test it last night, so I know that it works, which is famous last words before I start it and then it doesn't work, but let's give this a shot. And it looks like my daughter was using the headset last before or after I tested it. So hang on, I gotta switch to my account. I might have to re-enable developer mode. Oh, jeez. All right, yep. I am stationary. I'm not going anywhere. Confirm. Okay, let's see if Godot is recognizing the headset. It is not. I'm sure that's because it goes out of developer mode every time my daughter switches to her account. Micah says, the targeting limited to a certain range sounds cool, and the delayed response to weapons control would add an interesting gameplay mechanic that would also introduce some unique UI challenges. Yeah, like UI in VR is like such an interesting problem because it's so unsolved. Like UI in game, I mean, in games like 2D flat games, or I mean, I guess, yeah, 2D is not the right word, but flat screen games, is still not fully solved either, but like there's all these conventions and things in place that just do not fully exist in VR yet. And I gotta switch the headset to developer mode. There's when you use like the multi-account feature on the Quest, for whatever reason, every time you switch accounts, it goes out of developer mode, which is very, very annoying. And I want my Quest 2 and headset settings, developer mode, enable. And then I think I have to unplug and replug in this USB. Yep. Allow. Godot, do you see it? You do not. Oh, there it is. Hey, okay. One step closer. Oh, it's going to do this other fun bug. All right, it is deploying to the headset. And then I will finally start casting so you guys can see, and I'll show you the game as it exists now. And then we're going to start, I think, by adding some cubes to represent the guns and figuring out how it's going to be, targeted by pointing the controller and all of that. Cast to my computer. Is that coming in? Not yet. Maybe refresh the page. Your headset is already casting to another window or tab? Liar. It is not. Oculus cast. All right, let's stop casting and start casting. See what happens here. Refresh. Computer. This is no good. Oh, we've got the blackness. Yeah, the app seems to have crashed or something, so I will restart it, but so long as the casting is working. Are you guys seeing my home area here? No. Huh. Well, something went wrong. Try casting from headset again. All right. Sorry, guys. This is lame. I don't think we've ever really had a problem with this in the past. We've had lots of problems. We have definitely had lots of problems. I don't think we've had this one. What on earth? So now the app is not loading. Yeah. Maybe we'll have to change gears if we can't get if we can't get this working. I definitely tested it last night though, and I really want to work on it. All right. No, it just wants to crash. And the casting should at least be showing you guys the blackness I'm seeing. Reboot? Reboot the headset? Usually a good go-to move. All right, I'm going to reboot the headset. Sorry about that. It'll reboot. We'll try again in a moment. If nothing else, we can poke around in here a little bit. I'm not entirely sure which way is forward on our ship. Let's see, here's our spaceship. Yeah, what is the... There's a key... Oh, there we go. That worked too. I know there's a key too to recenter on something in the scene tree. Yeah, so I'm thinking we'll put like some sort of elongated cubes up at the front here to represent our guns. I just heard the headset reboot. Let me try it again. Allow. Oh. Allow. Confirm. All right. Let's make sure Godot is still recognizing our Oculus Quest 2 here. All right. Deploy. Yeah, one of my goals, one of my sort of near-term goals is to finally finish some VR project and get it on App Lab. App Lab is like the less formal, less stringent store for the Quest. Yeah, it seems like it's working. Yes, the game is working. I'm in here. Now don't crash, game, while I start casting. Are we casting? We don't appear to be casting. The little red dot has not appeared. Hmm. Well, this is frustrating. Okay, I have a dot, but I'm not seeing anything over here. Ah, there we go! Yay! Only took us way too long. All right, so this platform is representing our ship. The floating cubes are supposed to represent like asteroids or something. This spaceship up here, I don't know, like gives a sense of scale. I was thinking those could stand in for whatever enemies we are making. The sphere up here in the front is meant to be like a mini map. I'm not totally sure how I feel about the mini map. If anything, I think it should probably be, I don't know, further away rather than being kind of like right in front of my field of vision. I guess it makes it easy to test the mini map by having it there, but it's annoying. It covers up the scene. So anyway, this is the circle I was talking about that we're using to steer. You sort of grab it and lift it up to go up, grab it and go down to go down. Sort of turning left and right like that, and then rotating it to roll the ship, which does actually feel quite nice to drive it that way. So this is like the throttle. Oop, maybe a little fast. Go half that speed. And I can steer myself around to fly through these different rings here. There is no game to this yet. You go through the rings and they turn red, which I guess is hard to see, but I can show you. We look back at them. Now the ones we've been through are red. But otherwise, that is all we've got. I'm thinking we'll put our guns at the front corners there and make it so that where I'm pointing, we'll aim them, and maybe we'll make it so we can shoot at these cube asteroids. Put a little explosion effect on them or something like that. So that's what we've got. That's what we're gonna do. Let's get down to it. And I guess I probably could have left that kind of on my head, but whatever. All right, so we have our spaceship is this scene. And so I guess this is where we will want to add our gun cubes. They'll probably need to be their own scene as well. But let's start by just placing them in here. So I guess that would be a mesh instance. I will switch to, ooh, I put my number pad in a really weird spot. No matter how much desk space I have, I just always need more desk space. Can I put the headset on the floor? All right, that cord will reach to the floor. All right. So I'm thinking we'll position them up here with kind of like the pivot at the back corner. That's probably a round number. I like round numbers. Transforms. That, I guess, looks like we'll do 0.75 and -3. And we will put a cube mesh on it, or a box mesh. And actually, yeah, we're gonna need to rearrange how this works because we want to have the or how this is structured, because we want to have the mesh pivot from a certain spot, so it'll need to have a parent. Have you ever played around with 3D modeling in Blender? Yes, I have. I want to spend some more time doing it, particularly if I do end up continuing this particular project, because I think that while I am not a talented modeler, and I probably never will be, I think spaceships are relatively simple, and I think I could maybe come up with a process that works for me to make spaceships, which is another reason why I think this is a good project for me. All right, so which direction is this? Is that -y? Yeah, okay, it's -y. Great, so that's forward as far as Godot sees the universe. And then we want to make this much thinner, let's say 0.2, and probably about the same in Y. So we've got this sort of shape, and I think we want this to be lower, but yeah, like I said, we need a new parent. So let's do Control A, we'll add just a node 3D. And we're gonna do a funny trick where we make the node 3D be a child of this mesh instance, and then make it not be a child of this mesh instance, so that it will hopefully inherit its position. That did not work. Okay, there is a way to do this. To like move around nodes so that one inherits the position of another. Oh well, we can just copy and paste too, that's fine. Because I think we put this mesh instance in about the right spot. Yeah, for sure. Like, this is all like prototype art time. But yeah, definitely. I'd love for it to be a real ship. I'd love for it to be a ship with lots of windows so that you're able to see through the window as you're playing that the turret is moving. Because yeah, like what's the point of it being in VR if you can't see it happening? You know, one of the things I really didn't like about Bridge Crew is that it's Star Trek, right? So you're sitting on a bridge looking at what is effectively a giant TV in front of you, rather than being able to see the actual action. And there was a button you could press that would make you like see the world from hovering just above the outside of the spaceship, and that looked awesome. It was really, really cool, but you couldn't actually play from there. You'd have to, unpress that button, come back into the thing, and do these things on your desk. It would be so much cooler to be able to look through a window and see the action, see the enemy ship go past. It would be so much more interesting. So I'm hoping for some sort of ship design like that. So what do we got? We got -3 and 0.1. So we'll do that here. -3, 0.1, -3. We'll put our mesh instance inside there. And then its transform should be cleared. We'll move it a little bit forward such that, and that's maybe a little bit too low. Maybe bring this up. But we want to make it so that when we rotate this node 3D, it will rotate, and let's see it from above. It'll rotate from the pivot point that we want at. Like that. And this will be, I guess we'll call it a turret. I like the word turret. I'm taking that from you, Micah, with turret, because otherwise I would have called it gun. But yeah, turret sounds cool. So we've got one of them built. Let's make this into its own scene. Save branch as scene. Did these all just go on this hop level? Yeah, I guess, because it's a prototype. We can be sloppy. We can be sloppy with a prototype. I'll move this kind of up because, nope, not there. There. So we'll save this one. Then we're going to jump over to our turret scene. We're going to make a tiny change here in that we don't want this to be over here in local space. So I'm going to reset the position, which is hopefully going to leave the position alone here. I hate when that happens. Does anyone know what the cause of that is? Where sometimes when you change the local space in an instanced scene, it changes it in the scene it came from, but not always. Okay, so that's this turret, and actually let's call it left turret, and we'll duplicate, put another one right here. Again, because I like round numbers, we'll go in here and make sure that these are all round numbers. We'll call this one right turret. And yeah, so what I'm thinking is the controller, well, let's pick a controller. Let's say it's the left controller, because I imagine I'm going to be steering with my right hand, so I'm shooting with my left. Let's say it has a ray coming off of it and going a certain distance. And the turrets will target the point that ray hits, or if it's not hitting anything, just the full distance, but slightly offset. And maybe we'll start just by having it target it directly. But what I want to avoid is if we target a specific point, having the two shots from the two turrets cross. I would want it to be slightly far apart so that their point of convergence is a little bit past where we're aiming. So that ideally we can have them fade away or disappear before they cross, because I just don't like the idea of them crossing. Something about that, it just unsettles me. Hey Logan, welcome to the stream! Alright, so I guess let's go to our left controller. I did not use XR tools for this, so we're going to be doing things kind of custom, which is fine. I feel like I actually get things done a little bit faster sometimes when I'm doing them custom rather than using XR tools. The prototype we are throwing together today, Logan, this was a prototype that I worked on back in March originally, where you could fly this little platform, which I'm pretending is a spaceship, through space, and we are now adding some guns to the spaceship so that you can aim and shoot. So the left controller, we are going to add We need a good name. We need to add a component to the left controller that represents aiming the gun. What can we call that? Aimer? Aim tool? Gun aim tool? I like the word tool because then it lets me know that it's like a controller component as opposed to a. That'll do for now. We'll call it gun aim tool. So let's make a new scene for this 3D scene. We're going to have a raycast, and it needs to pointing in the negative y. Why don't I see you? Or not negative y. I'm sorry, negative z. So not that. We need negative z. And let's say we want to aim 50 meters in front of ourselves. And I don't really know what that means. I'll need to see it in practice. And actually, to help us see it in practice, let's add a mesh instance here, which will be the same size and shape as the ray. So it'll be negative 50 on the z, and then it'll do maybe 0.1 on the x and y. So actually what we need it to be is negative 25, and we need to position it forward, because shapes their extents are done from the center of the shape, as opposed to from the front and the back. So it's going to be negative 25 here. No, that's too far. Okay, so never mind. So I thought extents were half, but I guess extents are not half. So negative 50 to get the full 50 meters length, and then we move it forward negative 25 to get it in the right spot. And so assuming I got that right, the ray and the mesh should end at the same spot. I'm trying to see if I can see that. So here's where this one ends, and I cannot see that ray. Is that the ray? I think so. Yeah, that's the ray, and here's the mesh. The mesh is maybe thicker than we need. Well, I don't know. It's hard to tell out of context. Micah says, would something like an offset for each turret work? Like the left one could aim slightly to the left of the place you're aiming, and for the right, slightly to the right. Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. So they just need to be a little bit off so that the point of convergence is just far enough in front that we never see them cross. And maybe crossing is fine, honestly. But just picturing it in my head, I don't like it. I like the idea that they sort of are running not parallel, because I do want it to be that they can turn inward. Otherwise, what's the point of moving turrets if they can't turn inward? But yeah. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna say this is the point you want to hit. Then we're going to imagine a plane, and we're gonna move the left one a little bit to the left and the right one a little bit to the right. Okay, so this is our gun aim tool. We have our mesh, which I feel like it might be too big, but whatever, we'll find out. And this is gonna need a script. Hang on. I named all of these with the sort of underscore thing, and now it's trying to aim it or name it with the caps thing. I forget how you adjust how that works. Is that an editor setting? Whatever, I can just type it. Unless someone knows what that setting is, I would appreciate the pointer. I actually do prefer the camel case naming for scripts when it matches the scenes, which is probably why I changed that setting later. But I did this project with the one, and it just seems dumb to switch halfway. All right. Let's move this one over. All right, so the raycast Let's give it a unique name. We are going to on ready grab that on ready var raycast 3D. Why are we disconnected? Connect. There we go. Now we'll get our autocomplete. Raycast 3D. Well, it wasn't autocompleting for some reason. I think actually the VS Code plugin doesn't recognize the percent thing, the unique name thing yet. All right, and so what we need to do, let's think about the overall design here. So the spaceship is here. The spaceship has a script. The spaceship should probably hold like a target point that the guns are aiming at, or actually it should be like a desired target point, and then we will animate the turrets to aiming at that target point over time so that they don't instantly move. Although for now we can have them instantly move because we just want to, we're going to do this iteratively, step by step. So let's have a turret target point vector 3, and we're going to need a default value for that. So how about we do 0, 0, -50. And let's, for now, just try to target our turrets directly at whatever that point is. So we need to be able to get our target turrets from unique names. And we can do on ready var left turret and right turret. And we are going to say left turret. We have a look at function, right, on node 3Ds, or does it not know it's a node 3D? Okay, cool. Look at turret target point. Right turret, look at turret target point. And we'll need a function. Okay, so, or wait, should the tool tell the spaceship, or should the spaceship ask the tool? I feel for some reason like the tool should tell the spaceship. Not entirely sure if that makes sense, but we'll add a set turret target point. P target point. Say turret target point. P target point. The gun aim tool is going to need to know about the spaceship. So how is this put together? So the spaceship has the controllers for whatever reason. It's a weird design, but it's what we got. So it can get the tool. I guess we need to attach the tool. Gun aim. Oh, did I ever save it? I never saved it. All right. Save you. Save you. Attach. Gun aim tool. Oh yeah, that's going to be ridiculous, but it's fine. So we're going to call this left gun aim tool. We're going to unique name it. And then this is actually kind of making me think like it should ask the gun, because the ship, for whatever reason, knows about the hands. Well, I don't know. We'll stick with this way for now. So we'll get our on ready var left gun aim tool equals left gun aim tool, but not that whole thing because I put the %. All right, and so in our on ready, we're going to tell our left gun aim tool set spaceship self. Or is it itself in GScript, right? Not this, not C++y this. Okay, so now the gun's going to know about the spaceship. They both know about each other at this point. The gun aim tool is going to check its raycast on its physics process. Yes. So the gun aim tool, we need to, oh, it's enabled by default. Awesome. I forget when that changed, but raycasts used to always be disabled by default, so I always had to go remember to turn it on. Ooh, I missed some chats here. I was going to suggest that you could have the movement of the ship influence the trajectory of the rockets or lasers or whatever the turret fires, but then I had to remember it's a prototype. Scope creep is real. Yeah, I think also too, I want to have a nice division between what the ship controls do and what the weapon controls do, because it's going to be two different players. One player controlling who's the pilot, and another one who's controlling the weapons. So I don't want to have them be too dependent, although they have to be dependent too, so they have to collaborate. But you know what I mean. Like, I don't want it to be so that you can aim without aiming. Like if you could aim by just piloting, if that makes sense. So, what's next? We need to check our raycast. It's actually not going to hit anything because we like literally haven't made anything collisionable. So let's actually start with just making it set the target point to be 50. To just be at the end of the ray, and actually we can make that easier for ourselves by placing something there, so we don't have to do any math at all. Or what is it called? Point? So it used to be position 3D, but what is that node called now? Marker. It's called marker. So you can put this marker with its transform at -50. So we'll say aim marker. All right, so what we're going to do eventually, yeah, it's going to be multiplayer, like Bridge Crew. I thought I tried to explain this, but maybe I left off the most important detail. It's multiplayer. So each function of the ship is controlled by a different player. That's kind of like the core of the idea of Bridge Crew. All right, so in the end, what we're going to do is we're going to do the raycast. If it hits something, find the point there and use that point. If we don't hit anything, then we're going to use the position of this aim marker. Because we haven't made anything collidable yet, we're just going to use this aim marker. There we go. onReady var aim marker. Aim marker. So then all we need to do here is say spaceship set target or turret target. We need to take the aim marker and its global position. So, in theory, wherever I point with my left hand, the turrets should aim 50 meters in front of it. And we haven't done anything with offsetting the positions or gradually turning to that spot or colliding with objects, but at a base level, it should just do that. And I think the next thing we'll do after that is the collision part, so we can actually have the raycast doing something. Yeah, Logan, I think you would have loved Bridge Crew. It was such a cool game. It's been discontinued, but it was Star Trek IP. You're on the bridge of a Star Trek starship. You have one person being the captain, another being helm, another being weapons, and another being engineering. So you each have control over part of the function of the ship, and then you go on Star Trek missions. It was a really cool game. I really, really enjoyed it. I played it a bunch of times with my wife, with my pa, and yeah, it is so cool. I played it with randos, even with randos, it's fun. It's a really cool game, but like all multiplayer games, they eventually have the servers shut down, and that's what happened here. It was not even that long ago. Maybe 6 months ago. Bridge Crew shut down. Ubisoft is in the process of shutting down Bridge Crew. Or maybe it was longer ago than I thought. Maybe it was longer ago than I thought. This is from 2022. Oh, look at those Vulcans. Yeah, from 2017 to when was it being shut down? Give me the date, guys. Give me the date. The process shutting down. Relisted. If Ubisoft permanently shuts down. Okay, there's a lot of people speculating about this, but it like really happened. It like was the thing that happened. Maybe it's because I'm searching on Brave that I'm not getting the right answers. I love Brave as a browser, but its search engine could use some love. Star Trek Bridge Crew shut down. Yeah, I'm not sure when it shut down, but it was not that long ago in the grand scheme of things. Maybe it got shut down and then brought back and then shut down again. I don't know, but whatever. It's not important. Makes me think of a team versus team board game called Captain Sonar, actually, like Battleship, but you're on teams and everyone has a job on the battleship. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like that. I mean, I imagine that a lot of people like Bridge Crew just for the Star Trek IP, for like the fantasy of like, I'm an officer on the bridge of the USS Enterprise. And you actually could like, the base game with the story was like on some made up new ship, but you could actually play like on the original series ship and on the next generation ship, and do like the random missions, not the story missions. But it's cool also in the sort of like team dynamics side of it. Okay, so did we write all the code we need to write? I think so. Let's give this a shot. I will attempt to put the headset back on, and we'll see what happens. All right, give me a moment to get logged back in here. Hopefully it will just work this time instead of all the hullabaloo we had to go through last time. Nope, my floor is way down here, Quest. All right, start casting again. Why? Why can't it be viewed? Very strange. It's telling me that this content cannot be viewed outside the headset like we were like watching a copyrighted DVD or something. Okay, here we go. But wait, I can't be full screen because I gotta actually get the app to launch. Let's deploy to our Quest 2. All right, so what we're hoping to happen is that there's going to be like a giant line sticking out of my left hand, and wherever we point, the little gun turret things that we made will swivel to point at it. Unless it crashes, because we have an error in our code, such as putting an underscore between space and ship. All right, let's try this again. Logan, you have never seen any Star Trek stuff? I'm surprised. You seem like the target demographic. Okay, set turret target. Yep, lots of me naming functions differently than I thought I did. Set target point. We're just going to change this to be set turret target. Ah, but I named the variable point. Okay, we're going to call it set target point. All right, that theoretically worked. Oh yeah, there we go. There's the giant line, and the turrets are turning. All right. And then I'm imagining shooting, but not yet. And I can, yeah, that actually, like it sort of comes to a point at the end. Like we didn't even make that happen, but it just sort of naturally does. All right, so next, let's do the raycast. I probably would like it. I'm just not a rabbit hole I've gone down. So my friends actually made a Star Trek parody musical in college. That's the most exposure I've had. Yeah, when I was like a teenager, Star Trek Next Generation was huge, and I was really into it. And of course, I saw like the earlier ones when I was younger because my pa was really into Star Trek, and like the Star Trek movies were coming out like in the 80s, early 90s. I remember as a kid seeing what's the one with the whales? The Star Trek with the whales? The Voyage Home. Let's see what year this came out. 1986. Yeah, I remember seeing this one as a kid and just loving the heck out of this movie. Is a good one. I think it's probably my favorite Star Trek one, partially because most of the original Star Treks take place on a soundstage that is a ship, or on a soundstage that's like a little sort of sandy area that's meant to be a planet. And like there's a very small, like sort of claustrophobic feeling to a lot of the original Star Trek. But like the journey home, they like go to San Francisco in the now times. And it's like a whole world where there's like things happening, and like Captain Kirk and Spock ride the bus. Like, I don't know. I enjoyed it. It was good. Anyway. We are doing raycasts, which means we need to set up some collision stuff. So where are our asteroids, guys? Our asteroids are based on this scene. They do not have a collision shape. Let's turn these into static bodies. static body 3Ds, and we're going to add a collision shape. It's going to be a box shape. How big is this box? 5 by 5 by 5. All right. These will also be 5 by 5 by 5. They're going to be on a collision layer. I'm sure we have not set up any collision layers at this point. No, then I'm in the wrong place. No, I'm in the right place. 3D physics layers. Oh, we did set up some stuff. Okay, so what are we counting as environment? Player ship, interactable, player environment. I guess this is environment. I'm not sure what else I made be environment though. I guess we'll worry about it when something weird happens. All right, so the asteroids are environment. We have our raycast, which is going to collide with environment. Good. And we need to add just a tiny bit of extra code. So we need to say, ooh, I missed some stuff going on here. Wukash Bwont says, hi everyone, this demo looks so cool, it has potential. Thank you. It is very in the prototype stage, but I'm hoping it will be interesting at some point. Weaponized Battle Toaster says, is he on Godot 3? Nope, Godot 4. It should be in the title. I don't know what platform you're watching on. I guess YouTube. It should say Godot 4 somewhere up in the title-y zone, but yes, it's Godot 4. It's actually Godot 4.1.1. I considered doing Godot 4.2 because I have actually even tested the quest on Godot 4.2 when I was like helping test some PRs. But I just decided that was probably more trouble than it was worth. We had enough technical difficulties already, so I think I made the right choice. Yeah, I think that answers the questions. All right, so next we're going to check if the raycast hit anything. It's been so long since I've written game code, man. I do not remember any of the function names. Is it like is colliding? Is colliding. If raycast is colliding, then we need to get the point that it's colliding. Is that like collision point? Get collision point. Yes. So get collision point. So here we go. We'll say target point vector 3. And we'll say target point equals this. Else target point equals this, and then we'll set target point. Okay, so theoretically, when I aim at the asteroid, the gun should curve in to aim more directly at the asteroid, and when I'm aiming to distance, they should sort of point outward. So let's test if that's working. Oh, hey, David. Welcome to the stream. It is not the Space Smuggler game. Wow, I haven't thought about that one in a long time. But it is also a space game. It is also a VR game, but not simulation. So what I'm going for is something like Star Trek Bridge Crew, where you have 4 people, multiplayer, each controlling a different station on the ship, and then you all have to collaborate to carry out Star Trek missions. Except in this case, I just want to focus on combat, and we're working on how do we aim the guns on our starship. Right now, we're going to do all of the things, but the idea eventually is multiplayer. One person would drive, another person would control the weapons. Yeah, one of these days I'll circle back to that Space Smuggler VR game. It was a cool idea. All right, let's deploy this and see if it works. Hopefully we'll be able to tell that the guns are reacting to the raycast. If not, we'll add like a little debug mesh to place at the ray collision point, so that we'll be able to visually see what it's actually aiming at. So, has this reloaded? I'm not sure. Right. Here's my giant aiming hand. Wow, I cannot tell. Either it didn't reload, or it's too hard to tell where it's aiming. It seems like it reloaded. All right, let's add the debug thing. Let's add a debug mesh. So the way we will do that is, I guess it doesn't need to be a child of anything in particular. Let's just add another mesh instance. We'll call this one, I don't know, target point mesh. And it's going to be a sphere. Yeah, that's probably big enough. I think the main thing is we want to have a nice material on it so that we can see it. Maybe set the albedo to red. And what we are going to do, let's make it unique. Unique name. I probably overused the unique name thing, but like in a lot of scenes, I do end up like totally rearranging the parentage and stuff, and it's just nice to not ever have to worry about redoing the code references. Anyway, so this is, what did I call it? Target point. Target point mesh. I don't know why autocomplete gave us that crazy thing there. Target point mesh. And what we're going to do is we're going to say target point mesh global position equals target point. And theoretically, that means that we'll see this red sphere appear at the point that the guns are targeting. Yeah, I mean, it was pointing in a direction. I just couldn't tell if it was pointing, if the guns were pointing differently depending on if it was hitting an object or not hitting an object. But this should tell us. All right. So we can now see the red dot way out there, and I come here. Ooh, and it is closer. Okay. So it does appear as though it is targeting. That's interesting that there's like practically no difference in their position. Oh yeah, I see it. I don't know if you guys can see it. It shifts just ever so slightly to aim in closer at the cube. All right, now that we have aiming, I think I'm going to get rid of this other debug line here. I'll keep the debug sphere. Ooh, this is all pixelated and garbly. It looks much better in the headset, I can tell you that. All right, we'll rename this one to maybe like ray debug mesh, and we will hide it. And we need to shoot something. Like, we can't be aiming all this time. We got to shoot something. I think lasers would be the coolest. Lasers are a little bit trickier to code. So I think for now, let's just like hurl some spheres. Let's just hurl some spheres out there. I would make a VR game, but are too broke to buy a headset. You can pick up a used Quest 2 for like $200 or less, like $100. You could pick up a used Quest 2 for like $100. My uncle just got one because my pa, who is crazy about VR, has been talking it up to him, and my uncle's kids, I guess my cousins, have been coming over and playing VR with my pa. And yeah, they picked up like a used Quest 2 for something under $200. I'm guessing it was probably around the neighborhood of $100. So it's still a decent headset. It's still going to be a fairly decent headset for like probably the next year or two. And $100 is hard to beat. Anyway, we're gonna shoot some things. That's what we're gonna do. So let's make a really crummy projectile. And I guess this actually should probably be an area 3D so that we can have it collide with the asteroid. Need a collision shape, and we'll need a mesh. So let's make the mesh first. Let's say it is a sphere We want it to be a little bit bigger than the targeting one we were using. So let's say it's 1 meter radius. Oh yeah, I got to do double for the height. Yeah. And we'll give it material. How about something blue? Bluish. Yeah, blue like that. And we want the collision shape to match. So sphere with a 1 meter radius. That seems right, yep. We'll save our projectile. We're going to want a timer. I don't know exactly how long these should live for, but let's say, I don't know, 1 second. 1 second's probably okay. One shot, auto start. For consistency, I'm going to put it on the physics process. Let's attach a script. And we are going to have the timer emit its timeout signal. So if you haven't picked up on this already, I'm thinking when it's spawned, it counts down to a timer and then it destroys itself, or if it collides with something, it destroys itself. I don't think we need to do anything in ready. We will need to do something in physics process because we're going to need a vector. We'll say movement vector. Yeah, we'll just say vector 3. Let a setup projectile function, which we'll call with what do we want to call it with? So the guns are going to be pointing in a particular direction. We're going to spawn the projectile. We're going to want to give it a direction. I guess we could give it the whole vector. That's fine. We'll give it the whole vector. I was thinking maybe we might want to give it something else and then it calculates its own vector based on something, but let's just give it the vector. And let's not let autocomplete propagate our typos. Movement vector, p movement vector. And so we want to do is say if get overlapping bodies size is greater than 1, then we queue free ourselves. Otherwise, we are going to move. So we will say global position equals global position plus movement vector. It's been a long time since I've written gameplay code, and that seems like it's too simple. And I could probably actually do this. So I'm probably missing something important here. Otherwise, this will also queue free. Jesus Flores, hello also, friend. Someone who used GameMaker for a while, I can say that Godot exists. It does exist. I hear good things about GameMaker, actually. There's a game studio, Butterscotch Shenanigans. I listen to a podcast they do, and they make great games, and they do everything in GameMaker. Not open source enough for my personal tastes, but... all right, so this should be everything that we need, I think, for the projectile scene itself. Then on the spaceship, well, I guess we'll put it on the gun aim tool here. So the way that I generally do this in VR games, and it is inspired by the way that the XR Tools add-on works, but we're not using XR Tools in this, is that for any hand behaviors, I attach nodes to the controllers that act like components that will just add those behaviors to that controller. So in this case, we have this gun aim tool, which is adding this aiming, and I'm going to make it so when you press the trigger, it's actually going to connect to a signal on the controller to detect that trigger press and then do the thing, whatever that may be. So if we go into the script here, we need to, first of all, you can recognize my buttons presses VS Code. First of all, we need to say get parent. We'll do it like this. Parent equals get parent, and it is going to be a XR controller. Say if parent, parent dot, what is it? No. What's the signal called? Button pressed. It was not auto-completing that for me for some reason, though. Button pressed. Oh, XR controller 3D. What other kind of XR controller could there be? There's only 3D ones. Connect, and it'll be self on button pressed. So then here, we'll do func on button pressed. And then we get the button, which I think is a string. I think it's the action name. And it's like trigger something or other. I think I can figure that out by looking at the OpenXR action map. Trigger click. If p button equals trigger click, then we are going to say spaceship. And actually, we should make sure spaceship is set since it might not be. Say if not spaceship, return. Otherwise, spaceship, we'll say fire turrets. We'll write that function in a moment. Why don't you work with Sharp anymore? Who is Sharp? I'm not familiar with this Sharp person. Open seems like the way to go, considering the recent Unity shenanigans. Yeah, I feel like even if Godot doesn't get all of the people from Unity, or like there was even like some sort of like backlash to the backlash where people were trying to really talk down Godot, like, oh, Unity is in fact so much better. I think we still have proven the original point, which is that game engines, if you're going to make your whole business or possibly a whole industry depend on them, probably they should be open source commodities and not at the whims of a proprietary corporation. Oh, C#. I mean, I don't usually do C#. I sometimes include some C# in my games. I quite like C# as a language, honestly. I like having interfaces. I like that I can do typing all the way through. I like that it's a little faster than GDScript as far as performance. But GDScript is just so much faster to code. Like, I get so much more done when I'm doing GDScript. So what I tend to do is I write everything in GDScript until I hit a point where either I need the performance of C# or a third-party library from C#. And then I just write that one little piece in C#. Because in Godot, you can mix and match any of the languages that Godot supports. So I could also write a part in Rust, or a part in C++, or a part in Python if I wanted to. And you could have them all work together in the same game. But that's generally how I do it. C#, I like it, but I'm less productive with it. Oh, Micah's got a roll. Yeah, awesome. I don't know how far we'll get on stream, given that we're moving kind of slow today. But we will be able to shoot something. We'll be able to shoot something. Needs to be open or wholly owned, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, a lot of game companies still are building their own engines. That's still super common, especially on the bigger games. It's more the indie space that's dependent on general purpose game engines. Oh, cool. Yeah, I'd be curious to know your experience. I'm actually now assuming your name is probably pronounced Jesus. Jesus, I'd be interested in hearing about your experience switching to Godot. Like, how has it been for you? Any particular pain points? Let's go to our spaceship here, and we're going to write the fire turrets function here. So what we want to do, I guess, is loop over the turrets. So for turret in left turret, right turret. And we are going to spawn some projectiles. First, we need to actually load the projectile scene here. So we'll say projectile equals preload projectile scene. I'm pretty sure there's a newer version of the VS Code Godot plugin that gets rid of the like double quotes thing. I haven't updated that extension in a while. I should go check that out. So we need to create a projectile. And we'll call it we'll just say it's a node 3D. And we're going to say projectile instantiate. Let's get this a little more to the middle of the screen. And we are going to, I guess first things first, let's, we want to add it to the scene, but we don't want to add it as a child of ourselves. So let's say get parent, add child, projectile. And then we're going to set it to a particular position. So for now, let's just set it to the turret position. I know that's slightly off, though. We don't want it to spawn from the middle of the turret. We want it to spawn from the end of the turret. But given that this is a prototype, and I just kind of want to get things working fast in the last 30 minutes that we have here, I'm just going to cheat a little bit. We'll say global position equals turret global position. Webmaster says, with the recent Unity drama, it's weirdly nostalgic for me hearing about the runtime fee after being a happy Unity user beforehand. Gamma Games says, VR hype. Welcome to the stream, Gamma Games. Yeah, we're doing VR again finally. You know, I started by doing VR stuff with Godot. I'm glad to finally be back to doing more of it. Oh, turret. There we go. And we need to do projectile, setup projectile. We need to set its movement vector. So I think to do that, we're going to I guess first we need the direction, which we'll get by taking the turret target point, subtracting the projectile's global position. So this makes a vector pointing from the projectile's position to the target, but then we need to normalize it. That turns it into a direction. And then we are going to say direction times some movement speed, which the way that we did the calculation here is actually probably wrong. We want movement vector times delta, which will turn this vector into, it will turn this vector into meters per second. So how many meters per second should this travel? I don't know. Let's keep it slow for now. Let's just say 1 meter per second. So we don't need to multiply it by anything. That should shoot some projectiles. I don't think we need to do anything else. Let's give this a shot. See what mistakes I made. Deploying to the Quest 2. And here we are. All right, so, my hand is invisible. Oh, that was weird. 1 meter per second is too slow, and these spheres are way too big. Oh yeah, if we are having them destroy after 1 second, they need to go much further than a meter. All right, so a couple things to change here. Let's make these much smaller and much faster. So let's start with 5 meters per second. And let's change the... where's our projectile scene? Too many scenes open right now. Here's our projectile scene. We are going to make this way smaller. I think a quarter of its current size sounds good. Or actually, that look kind of cool. Like how is that? It was like this. What if we do something like that? And if we move it out here like this. All right, let me adjust these numbers. I have this obsession with making sure all the numbers are round. I'm sure it really doesn't matter, but I want this to be exactly -1, this to be exactly -90. And now we need a collision shape that fits this, which would probably be better suited to a capsule. So let's switch this to a capsule. And we'll rotate you as well. So -90. So over here, I guess also is -1. Radius is too big though. Or actually, you know, that might even be fine because we want the collision shape to be a little bit big to advantage the player. I don't know. Overall the shape might still be too big, but I kind of like that shape. That's a fun shape. Plasma bolts. Manual turret assist control. I'm not sure I understand what you mean, Gamma Games. Right now, everything is manual in the sense that we want to have one player who's just focused on weapons because it's a multiplayer co-op thing, right? So one player is going to be focused on firing weapons, another is going to be focused on flying the ship. That's also, by the way, the reason that there are 2 turrets. I mean, not the only reason, because also it's first of all badass to see 2 things shooting at once. But the other reason is because you got 2 hands, right? So I'm imagining there being a way to control both turrets that maybe you wouldn't want to use all the time. But all right, so ooh, that is wrong. Okay, we need to adjust the rotation to match the rotation of the turrets when they fire. So let's take care of that. That's actually fairly easy. We need to say projectile global transform basis equals turret global transform basis. All right, so that should turn them. It's still way too slow. Let's say 20 meters per second. That might be too fast, but let's give it a shot. Plasma bolt drifting. Maybe it could be more active experience by having to put weapons on cooldown. Yes. I think that could make sense, like some sort of limit on how fast you can fire, whether that's an individual cooldown or like an overall, like you fire too rapidly and then they heat up and then you're forced to wait, or some sort of thing to even things out. I was also thinking that the aim wouldn't be immediate. Like right now, this is immediately pointing wherever I point it, but I would very much like for it to, the guns to take a little while to animate to the position you're pointing, to have it not be instantaneous. Anyway, that actually looks pretty good. It's still too slow, but we're getting there. The thing I was talking about earlier that I didn't want the bolts to cross, definitely, when I'm seeing them cross right now, it looks dumb. But we'll figure that out. I can shoot a lot of them. Okay, they need to be a little bit faster. They need to be a little bit thinner. And let's add the sort of like the thing I was just saying, where they animate into position. So mesh instance, let's shrink the radius even further. So let's say 1.5 maybe? That might be cool. Let's see the ship script. Make this even faster. Let's say 30. Or should we use the Sid Meier rule? Either double it or half it. Go 40. And yeah, then let's also do the thing where they slowly turn to the position. So we would do that by we want to lerp to a particular rotation. And in order to do that, we need to know what the destination rotation is. And so how do we calculate what is the rotation value? So we can build a matrix where z is pointed at this point. Oh, actually, there's a way for Godot to do this for us. You know, I've written the math for this way, way too many times. You guys remember when we were working on that VR voxel game? I did the math for constructing a matrix where negative z points in a particular direction manually in that game, and there is a Godot function that does it for us. So, okay, if we make a transform, oh, and we're gonna have to do it twice. We're gonna have to do it once for each turret. So let's do what we're doing over here and loop over it. So turret in left turret, right turret. And can we lerp transforms? That actually would be kind of cool too. Although you don't want to lerp a transform, you want to lerp a quaternion. So can we construct a quaternion that points in the direction we want it to be? To the docks! To the docks. Okay. This arc thing is actually kind of interesting. Now, I think we'll have to construct a basis and then build a quaternion from the basis. That's fine. All right, so we'll say desired rotation as a basis and desired rotation will looking at, so this is the magic function that will make this have the negative z point where we want it to. Turret target point. Then we want to take the current rotation as a quaternion. So we'll say rotation equals quat constructed from the turret global transform basis. And why doesn't that work? I swear. Oh, because it's no longer called quat. In Godot 3, it was called quat. In Godot 4, it's called quaternion. All right, and then we want to lerp our basis. So turret global transform basis equals lerp from our current rotation to a quaternion made from our desired rotation And we're going to use the same rotation lerp weight as the ship uses. And I don't know if this will automatically convert this from a quaternion to a basis, so we'll just throw in the cast there. Wait. Looking at it as a static function? Oh, cool. Hang on, we can make this code even shorter because it's a static function. Okay, so var desired rotation, we'll actually make that be a quaternion too. This will be a quaternion, which is constructed from basis looking at it was turret target point, and that means we can actually remove this too. All right, does this code look right to you guys? So we have a desired rotation, which is a quaternion defined by a matrix that's looking at the target point, and then our current rotation, actually let's do this reverse because just logically, like, I think of current rotation, desired rotation. Is a quaternion constructed from the turret's global transform, and then we lerp from the current rotation to the desired rotation using this lerp weight. The units, this lerp weight might actually not be good for us, but we'll find out in a second. Ooh, what's going on in comments here? Oh no, YouTube has somehow placed me an hour in the past. Ignore my other messages. They were from the start of the stream. Oh no. Webinar is very new to Gift, maybe new to Godot. Oh, very new to Godot. Does it use a custom shader language or GLSL? It uses a custom shader language that's very, very similar to GLSL. In fact, it's actually just like text processed into GLSL. So it's like a very light layer on top of GLSL. But coming soon, there is going to be the possibility to directly write GLSL code in Godot. It's probably a Godot 4.3 thing. It didn't happen in Godot 4.2, but I'm excited for that because there is a bunch of GLSL code that's just like baked into Godot. Like you can't change it. You can't get rid of it. Your shaders are just kind of injected into the middle of it. But once this ability to write like just plain GLSL code comes, you'll be able to completely replace like the Godot scene shader or the Godot canvas item shader, and it should allow you to have much more control over rendering. It'll be really cool when that happens eventually. But eventually soon. Because I was talking to Bastian about it not that long ago, and it sounds like it's something that he wants to work on pretty soon. All right. What? Nope, I hit the wrong button. Let's see if this works. So we made a bunch of changes. We changed, I think, the size and the speed of the projectiles, and we attempted to make it so that the turrets don't immediately point where you point them. They sort of gradually move to that position, which it appears I got very wrong. Oh, no, here it is. Or it's not gradual enough. I mean, I'm happy that it's still pointed in the right direction. So that means I at least did the math correctly. Yeah, it's passing through the cube. Why is it passing through the cube? We wrote collision code for the cube. That's weird. Okay, well, that's another thing to look into. See if I can fly and shoot at the same time. Oh, wow, guys. This is fun even with nothing in it. I like it already. Oh my god. Okay, well that's good. Oh, let's go shoot that ship. Get myself unstuck from the USB here. Where are you? Where are you, other ship? We're swirling into action here. Okay, this is cool. I was not expecting that to be fun. And it's not amazingly fun, but it's a little bit fun. That's a little bit fun. All right. So we're clearly lerping too much. with a too high of a weight. Rotation, lerp weight. Ooh, that's even really low. Why is it lerping so hard? Let's set it even lower. I mean, this should just be crawling into position. Oh, it's because these lines are still here. I never deleted the lines that... Did you guys notice that before me? You probably did, because you guys are geniuses. You guys always notice things before me. That actually does look fun, though. Yeah, it is fun. You get to talk to the Godot devs? Yeah, so I don't know the last time we talked, David, but like I've been getting more and more embedded into the Godot project. I maintain some things, and I work for W4 Games, and I go to meetings and talk to Godot devs on a regular basis. Yeah, I can see that'd be a great time with the group. Do you intend to have this as a short co-op session or a campaign? I'm thinking short co-op stuff, like like just focusing on like the dog fights. Maybe like you drop into a situation, fight some AI things. I think it would be cool to have competitive, like 2 teams against each other, but that just sounds impractical. I would then need to have 8 people ready to play this game, which seems like a lot. But yeah, what did I do that made this suddenly yell at me? But yeah, I'm thinking I'll make some dumb AI enemies, randomize it a little bit, throw you in there with a couple of people, and go blow stuff up. All right, so the last test was bad because I accidentally left the code that just snaps the turrets to the right spot. So it's entirely possible that the math that I did isn't correct. So we'll find that out in a second. But the other thing I wanted to check on is the projectiles. The projectiles have a collision shape and should be... It's not disabled. It has a mask of 1. I always confuse monitorable and monitoring, so maybe I got that wrong. But yeah, so the mask is 1. The asteroid is layer 1. The asteroid is a static body. We are checking... We are checking get overlapping bodies size. Oh, greater than 1. I meant to type greater than 0. All right, so now the projectiles should despawn as soon as they hit the asteroids. Well, if we have time, we probably do. We have 10 minutes. We can add a little exploding effect. We'll do it in the cheapest, dumbest way possible. But I think we can add a little exploding effect. All right, so let's give this a try. Oops, and I hit the wrong button again. These 2 buttons just look too similar. All right. Deploying. Come up. There we go. And where is my... Ooh, all right. It's super drifty. They do animate him to position. I kind of don't like so much how slow they are at the end. Maybe lerping into position wasn't exactly right. Maybe instead they should just go at a fixed speed. So every frame they move a certain number of... Let's test the collisions. Yeah, collisions seem to be working now. That's good. So okay, let me try moving and shooting with this. Like if I change what I'm aiming at, is it... Ooh, the shape. The way the projectiles look when I'm turning is a little odd, but I guess that is how it would look in space. Or no, it is wrong. It is wrong. Something is wrong. Yeah. Hmm. So they're pointed towards. Oh, you know what? I bet it's because I moved this off of center. Which I did for a dumb reason, actually. I should move it back. The reason I did it was because we had a thing where the projectiles are kind of spawning in the middle of the turrets, but whatever. That should really actually have a different solution. Let's see if this fixes the weird angle that the projectiles are pointing. Da, da, da. So how would I recreate this? So I guess I gotta go down and then look up. Nope, that's still totally wrong. Why is it doing that? Is it even going to my dot? No. Something is very, very wrong. Okay, so it's not because we were pivoting it in the middle. Let's go take a look here. So we've got our spaceship code. So we rotate the projectile to to have the same rotation as the turret. And actually, there's an easier way to do this. Okay, so we'll say projectile global transform equals turret global transform. So it should start at the exact same spot and rotation as the turret. Then the direction, getting by taking the target point, subtracting the projectile's global position. So that should make a vector from the turret to the position. Normalized it, and we fire it. Adding to the global position. Physics process. Is it a relative motion thing? Is it because I'm moving down, the turret's projectiles seem to be moving up relative to me? Let's get in here and experiment a little bit. Like if I'm stationary, do I still have this problem? Okay. So, ooh, no, that one is definitely feels like it's going a little bit the wrong. Well, maybe not definitely. I think part of the problem, okay, so yeah. So it's rotating the projectiles based on the turret rotation, but it's shooting based on the exact spot that I have targeted, which is incorrect. So no matter where the turret is pointing, it will shoot to where I'm pointing. So that's definitely a problem. We need to have it base the place that it's going based on the turret rotation. So we actually need to not consider the target point at all when shooting. So what we need to do, the direction should be 100% based on the direction that the turret is pointing. So how do we figure that out? We want to turn the okay, we just need to take the z component of the transform. The z component of the matrix is the direction. So direction equals turret global transform. Actually, the negative z. So global transform basis z, and we negate it, right? So you can think of, I don't know if you guys even want this explanation, because I don't know, either you already know this or you don't care. But the way a matrix works, a transform matrix, is that each of the components represents one of the axes. Like if you do like the 3 lines, like you have the y-axis and the z-axis and the x-axis. Each of the components of the transform represents each of those axes, and so the z-axis is already a vector, which is pointing where we want the projectile to go, or actually it's pointing the opposite of the direction that we want it to go. So that's why we can just take the turret's matrix's z component to figure out where the projectile should shoot. Hopefully that makes some sort of sense. My impromptu explanations are not always very good. All right. Okay, so now... Oh, that looks much better. It seems a little wrong, though. So the bullets coming out of the turret seems right. That seems correct. They're now coming out at the right angle. Ooh, that looks really cool. Just watching them like arc through space. Wow, okay. But the turrets actually seem to be not pointing in the right spot. Because they should... I'm not moving at all. The turrets should both be pointing directly at that dot. I don't know why they're not. Is it a problem with my quaternion lerping math here? Let's just comment this math out and replace it with the simplistic turret look at turret target point. So we're no longer going to try to animate into position. We're going to just snap right to it. So now let's see if that hits the right spot. And if so, we know we have to fix those 3 lines that I commented out. If not, then something else is wrong. Okay, that math is wrong. This is cool. Go through the circle, shoot some asteroids on the way. Fly through the next circle. I need a little more speed here. Whoa! Whoa, the aiming is wrong somehow. Or is it? Is the aiming wrong? Yeah, that's definitely a little weird. Something else weird is going on here. I'm not quite sure what it is, though. If I stop moving... It must just be the relative motion, like... Hang on. This seems perfect, but if I start moving... It gets a little bit weird. Yeah, I think maybe the projectiles need to move a lot faster than the ship. They need to spawn from the tip of the turret rather than the middle like they are now. But we're getting closer. Getting closer. I wonder also if the bullets should inherit some of our motion. That actually is probably right. Yeah. So if we're moving at, I don't know, 10 meters per second, and we shoot straight ahead of ourselves, the bullets should inherit our 10 meters per second plus whatever other motion they have on their own from being fired out of the cannons. I think that is at least a big part of the problem. Because that's just weird. What it looks like is we're like launching a balloon, and it's just woo going this way and not really inheriting any of our forward motion. So yeah, I think we need to add our motion vector to their motion vector. But otherwise, we got a bunch of stuff done, guys. It's already 11 a.m. my time, so I have to get running. Got to get ready for a work meeting in not too long. But yeah, it's getting there. This is a fun prototype. I'm gonna try and see if I can keep working on this one and get it polished up a little bit, and of course add the actual multiplayer. I think we could probably test it with multiplayer just with the 2 stations, the pilot and the weapons. Of course, I would like to have like 3 or 4 people doing different things. I think that would make it even cooler. But I think once we have these 2 functions working reasonably well, we can try putting 2 people in there and see what happens. Are they pointing at the end of the dots raycast? The target seems to be correct, but the depth looks off. Yeah, I don't remember. I didn't actually quite catch when you posted that, but that is what it seemed like when I was using that quaternion rotation thing. When it's snapping to it, it does seem like it's using the right depth. How will you score success? Well, I'm thinking for the real thing, we're gonna have some AI enemies, and so destroying them all and not dying will be success. Right now, I just have the rings thing because originally this prototype only had flying. When we were originally working on it back in March. But yeah, sensor station that boosts accuracy and speed. Yeah, something like that. So like having someone who has more overall awareness of the battlefield would be good, and maybe that person could act like as the captain. Also, engineering in the bridge crew game involved like affecting repairs, putting more or less power to weapons or engines, and that added some really cool mechanics. So yeah, something along those lines. Anyway, thank you everyone for coming to the stream. It was a good one. I hope you all have a great weekend, and I will talk to you either in Discord or next week. Take care. Bye-bye.